Hello YouTube, TECHISMASONxx here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a review of the HTC Desire 610. Let's get to it. Okay, so I've had this phone for about 2 weeks now, so I think I've had enough time to test it out and give my full opinions over it, so that's what I'm going to be doing now. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the design. Now, when I first saw this phone, I want to say that it really resembled the HTC One, especially with the front-facing boom speakers that it has. It just really made me think HTC One when I first saw it. But if we look around the device, we can do a quick hardware tour. At the bottom of the phone, we have the micro USB port for charging and nothing else. On the right hand side, we have our volume rocker, which really to me doesn't feel as great as other volume rockers on other phones, because I'm really not sure. It's just not as clicky as it should be, if you understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, on the top we have the power button and we have the headphone jack, and on the left hand side we have a slot for both the SIM card and the micro SD card. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the screen. Now, on the screen, it is a 4.7-inch screen with 234 pixels per inch quality. And when I first saw the screen, I was kind of wondering, why don't I like the screen? I just couldn't figure it out. It was something that made the screen seem weird to me, and now I figured it out. It's the big bezels that the phone has. I really wish that they could have made the bezels a little bit smaller, because now that they're pretty big, it kind of makes the phone seem small and just bunched up, which it shouldn't feel like that. And yeah, it is a 4.7-inch screen, and even with the iPhone looks like it has a decent screen, but with the big bezels that it has, it just kind of makes me feel like the screen is bunched up together, which I really don't like. But also on the screen, it's not a really, I don't think it is an IPS display, or I think that's what it'll be called with the monitor. But once you have turned the phone, the viewing angles is really bad. Like, you could barely turn the phone and the colors would change and it will get very dark. You really won't be able to see everything perfectly. So when you're using the phone, you need to have it pointed towards you, like at a 0-degree angle, because if you point it very slightly, you'll get different colorations and things like that. So after using the OnePlus One as my main phone for a long time now, when I tested this phone out, it was really hard to give it the time of day and just to give it my all and just think, man, can this phone be good? I really just couldn't just think about it that way. But then once you look at the price, it's $199, which is a very low price. But like I said, compared to the OnePlus One, which is a $300 phone, you think about the price. But think about other phones like the HTC One, that's $650. Think about phones like the Galaxy S5 and things like that. This is more than half the price of that, but it's still pretty good. So that's why I want to talk about speed and performance right now, because the speed and performance on this phone is great. Now, with the $199 price point, I would think that the phone would be slacking in some areas and speed and performance. But when I first got the phone, I was trying to test it out. I was opening, closing apps, opening as much apps as I could to try to see if that would make the quality go down. It didn't. Now, I tried running very intensive apps like Injustice and Need for Speed in the background and see if that would take down the speed and performance in the phone, and it really didn't. And I think that the 1 GB of RAM that this phone has really can handle it once you think about it, because other phones have 3 GB of RAM coming on 4 GB of RAM, and with this thing only having 1 GB of RAM and a quad-core processor with 1.2 GHz, you would think that the speed would be very slow and you wouldn't have very high expectations. But when I was going through my tests, it really did a great job. So yes, this really is a fast phone, and you won't really experience any lag or any slowness in the phone. So it will really make you feel like it is a flagship phone. But you think about the price at $199, so it is pretty good for the price. So now I want to talk about the camera. Now, the camera is the kind of thing that really let me down, because I do use apps a lot that makes me take pictures, and then in my conversations I like to take a lot of selfies and stuff like that. But the front-facing camera isn't the best, so when I was taking the pictures in decent lighting like I have now, it wouldn't look good. And I actually want to do a live experience with you guys, so I can show you what it looks like right now if I take a picture in this quality right now. So I'm going to show you that picture on the editing right now, and you guys will see how it looks. That was kind of weird, right? That was kind of cool at the same time. But I'm going to show you how it looks with the front-facing camera. It kind of looks a bit oversaturated, but that's just probably because the screen is a little oversaturated. But once I put it up to my computer, I'll be able to see the true quality and things like that. You guys will see it right now as well. So yeah, that was the front-facing camera. I really didn't do a camera overview. I'm not sure if you guys were interested in that. So if you are interested in me doing a camera overview, doing a separate video test and things like that, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to get to it. And also, I want to talk about the back-facing camera, because the back-facing camera actually does make up for the front-facing camera, because the back-facing camera is pretty decent, once again, for a $199 phone. Because if you think about other phones at this price, the camera isn't so good. But with this, the camera is decent. You can get decent video, 1080p, and it's 8 megapixels, so that's pretty decent for a phone. Now, the software is kind of weird to me. After using the OnePlus One software, this phone software is pretty weird. It was kind of hard for me to get used to changing the selfie and video and camera mode, because those are 3 things that you have to change to get your separate cameras and videos and things like that. But yeah, that's just something that HTC has with Sense. So yeah, and this is, talking about Sense, this is on 4.4.2 KitKat, so it is up to date. It's not really the latest software, but it is up to date, so that is good. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say about the camera. It's pretty decent, but it's not the best. So I did talk about the screen with the big bezels, with the tad bit oversaturation, and with the bad viewing angles, and that's the main downfall to me of the phone, because that was an immediate thing that I recognized that was kind of making my expectations low for the phone, just because I thought that the screen was just not the best that it could be. And with the 234 pixels per inch, the quality isn't at its best, and you can still recognize pixels on the screen, which you really shouldn't be able to do. But like I said, this is a $200 phone, which you have to remember throughout all of this. You have to remember that the price is really low, so you really shouldn't have the best high expectations like I had, since I was using the OnePlus One for a long time now. But yeah, it's a really decent phone. Like, it runs everything fine, and I guess since the camera isn't all that best, you really shouldn't expect anything perfect. But like I said, if you're gonna be just taking quick pictures and doing selfies, I guess you would have to deal with it. But anyway, yeah, that is pretty good. The speed and performance, that's very great. You get very fast speeds. Gaming is awesome. The sound on the phone is pretty great as well. Like I said, it's not anything too exciting for me. It's just the sound. Like I said earlier in my headphone reviews, I'm not really an audiophile, so I'm not sure if I could tell the difference and stuff like that. But yeah, the front-facing speakers are pretty good, especially if you're showing someone a video and you're in a loud place, because you can still hear it. And yeah, talk about the design. The back, I really didn't mention the back, but the back has a very glossy touch, and I really don't like glossy things on anything, so I would recommend getting a screen for this, because with the glossy feel, you get a ton, and I mean a ton, of fingerprints on this thing. So yeah, that is pretty cool, but it actually does feel good. Like, comparing the back of this to my OnePlus One, the back of my OnePlus One is basically like a matte, like a weird feeling to me. And then going to glossy, I can kind of tell the difference, a huge difference actually. But I like the way that both the phones feel. Like, I don't feel I'm gonna drop this anytime soon. It's not slippery. It's not anything like that you would have to worry about dropping it, at least not in my opinion, because I actually dropped the OnePlus One a ton of times, but I've never dropped this phone. So I don't know if I was just being more responsible with this one, but yeah, this is a very great phone for the $199 price point. I've just given you a quick summary of everything that I talked about in the review. And yeah, I really like Sense, especially the feature that it has on the left. I'm not sure what it's called actually, because this is my first phone that I've used with Sense, but I'm saying once you scroll all the way to the left on your phone and you see the little green thing, I don't know, I'm being very unprofessional, but yeah, it has the social media, it has your Twitter and your Facebook and whatever you have linked and signed in on the phone. It has I like the way that it's integrated into the phone. That's pretty nice. But yeah, that was just my quick review of the HTC One Desire 610. Now I'm saying this is a great phone if you're going to be your first smartphone. Like, if you're a kid and your mom is getting you your first phone and she thinks about this and she's like, oh, this phone is $199, what should I get you? Or if your mom says you have a $200 limit, I would really recommend this phone, because this is a great phone. HTC Sense, you have the latest OS software, KitKat, It's pretty fast. You have great sound. You have a decent camera. It's a really good phone. So yeah, I'm thanking AT&T for sending this out to me to review. I really appreciate that. You can go to the link down below to buy this phone from AT&T. And yeah, I'll end my video here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm sorry if I talk pretty fast. I'll probably have to slow this down in editing because I do talk pretty fast. So yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Deuces, YouTube.